would think there's a lot of truth in the saying that it takes a village to raise a child.
When you get to a certain point and you can look back, it's hard to imagine who you would be had it not been for the community of people who raised you.
This place is special.
Which is why we said we wanted to help. Let's put it on the map. So we spent our summer to row college students with a goal to interview residents of Washington County to truly capture the essence of the community.
Which is not as easy as it looks.
Yes.
Within the first week of filming, we had pages beyond pages of topics that people we interviewed had covered.
And that really turned a light on for us. You know, we were raised here, but felt as if we had just dug into the first few layers.
And that's actually turned out to be the norm. People grow up here, they go away to school, find a big city, but people always come back.
And that speaks for itself. You know, people choose to come back because they want to raise the next generation in the same environment. And we also found that people who have no connections to Washington County still choose to come here to settle down.
And we wanted to capture that. I mean, we wanted to let people know that this little county is actually something huge. My name is Leslie Marshall.
I'm Aaron Johnson, and we are not actors.
Actually, we are, but we're not acting here.
Okay, we're gonna have to do something else.
My name is Leslie Marshall.
And I'm Aaron Johnson, and this is Washington County.
I'm a first grade teacher.
Newspaper editor.
I'm an optometrist.
I'm a third grade teacher.
I am the coordinator of Youth First.
I work at Green Banner Publications.
I'm a retired superintendent of schools.
I'm an investment professional.
I am a high school English teacher.
I'm a farmer, sixth generation.
18 years as a Superior Court judge.
I'm the attorney for the Department of Child Services.
I used to teach. I'm an elementary teacher.
We also own Sisters, which is a women's clothing boutique on the square.
I'm a district sales manager for Agri-Gold Hybrids.
And I'm currently an employment and training advisor at the Work One Express office here in Salem. There's just such a value for our history and a value for preserving the history of the community.
The history of Washington County was something we really had to research.
You know, it's quite interesting. A lot of the things we dug up, you can sort of play 6 degrees of separation with. I mean, we have traces of some of the first English settlers right here in Washington County.
So, you know, if you're spending a weekend tracing up history in a county that's been around since 1814, you're bound to find some fascinating stuff.
We always have to take them, show them the courthouse. You have to.
The stone architecture of it is beautiful, and it's really a landmark for the county and really a source of pride.
And when I go places, people say, where are you from? And I'm like, Salem, Indiana. And like, the place with the beautiful courthouse. Mm-hmm. And it's just such a focal point and a landmark. In fact, in Indianapolis, there's an apartment complex named the Salem Courthouse.
I love for people to go into our courthouse because it's the most beautiful courthouse in the state. Whenever my kids were little, when we would go around the square, they would call it the castle because it really does give you that impression.
And the courthouse?
Yeah.
It looks like a castle.
Yeah.
Is it your castle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember the dragon that's in the courthouse? No. There's a dragon in the courthouse. It's really cool.
One?
No.
I love our library. I think our library is beautiful. Again, I can remember whenever Mom was at the Lions Club and, you know, I could walk to the library and I would spend hours in there.
Well, I was in town, so we could walk or ride the bikes and go to the library, and they used to have little story hours when we were younger. We could listen to a story and check out books, and that used to be one of my favorite hangouts.
The reputation of the genealogy lab goes quite far.
People always have a good experience when they go over to the museum to work on their genealogy.
I remember going in there as a kid with them and, you know, thinking, wow, you know, this is amazing how you can, you know, look and trace your roots.
And all the way to California, they knew about the genealogy lab.
I didn't realize the
enormity of it actually, how big that library actually is and how many people come from all over.
We have taken our family there, and they've been really interested in the history with Morgan's Raiders and the different artifacts that were at the Stevens Museum.
And in particular the depot, I think that it's a newer museum obviously, but boy, it's just really well done. Cecil has done a really wonderful job with that.
The Depot Railroad Museum was established to commemorate the role that the people of Washington County played in 1847 in the organization of the New Albany and Salem Railroad that later became the Monon.
I enjoy going to the depot with Jack. He loves the trains.
And that's the most wonderful part, is having the school tours come in. The kids get excited about seeing the model downstairs and going through the caboose.
I enjoyed the mill this year after they've restored it and being able to tour that. That was really interesting.
We like to go to Beck's Mill and hike around that area and explore the museum inside the mill. When it comes to the history of the community, Beck's Mill is probably my favorite. And Jack loves it. Every time we drive by, he says, "Look, Mommy, my waterfall."
The Salem Speedway is a wonderful landmark when it comes to the history of this county. I mean, it's been around since 1947, and so many racers have competed here that it's no wonder why we have so much pride for the Speedway.
They say if a man goes fast at Salem, he can go fast anywhere. And I believe that because looking at the wall, I mean, you see Kenny Irwin Jr., Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson. There is so much history at that racetrack.
Whenever you're out about, and you'll talk about it, and they say, "Where are you from?" I said, "Well, a little town called Salem." They said, "Oh yeah, the Speedway."
Todd's siblings live in Texas, and when they come to town, that's one of the things they always want to do is to go to the Speedway and take in a race.
And I was amazed at how crowded it is. Good heavens. There are lots and lots of people who go to those races, and they really genuinely seem to be having a great time.
Well, at the Speedway, one of our first graders, he was running in those little mini sprints, and so he gave me tickets. He wanted me to come and watch him, so we did, and that ended up being one of the best times we've had.
When we were in daycare, when we were, preschool or younger, we went to the Speedway and got to ride our tricycles, and that was the longest lap ever.
What does a race car say? You like the Speedway, don't you?
I think the thing that I appreciate is that, a lot of things have been renovated to make them better, but the integrity of everything is still there.
Everywhere you look, there's a lot of history around here, and it's a lot to be proud of.
Mm-hmm. We take it by living here all the time for granted and stuff, but if I was wanting to give a person a good taste, of what this community is, I'd probably start there.